Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 149 of Buds and Blue Jays. It is Sunday, December 10th, and Riley, we do not have some great news today here. This is an emergency episode, if you will, and let's get to it right away because Shohei Ohtani has made his decision, and we have been talking about it for weeks now, and ultimately, he ends up where we think he always was going to end up, and that is in Dodger Blue as Shohei Ohtani officially to the Los Angeles Dodgers for 10 years, $700 million. Yes, $700 million for Shohei Ohtani. Riley, I'm a little heartbroken, but let's just get right into it. Cut around the bush. What's your instant reaction after hearing Ohtani to the Dodgers?
First reaction is, first of all, we'll get into the roller coaster of which was Friday, and then him going to Los Angeles and signing. Jesse, as if you follow along, on Spotify, YouTube, whatever, if you've been watching, listening, my take. Like, I really wasn't too invested in this, to be honest, until it came to Friday, right? I probably played it a little more cool streaming than I actually felt, right? Like, I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani. He's the best player in his sport right now. And like, when you see these things on Twitter and you see the possibilities and the likelihood kind of start to become, it stops to become real. It's a reality. It's
It
not
starts to
just
feel real, right?
It's not a dream anymore. Like, we could do this. We could acquire Shohei Ohtani, and it could really increase our chances in like winning the division, winning key baseball games in the playoffs, and then going basically to the promised lands. Is kind of, if you were to draw it up in a perfect world. I know that there's 8 other guys on the diamond with them, but when you factor in how good Shohei is and has been, I mean, and what he's gonna do, I mean, let's be honest, $700 million over 10 years. That's an insane contract. But
Worth every penny.
I think it is. I think, you're not just paying him to put up numbers. Like, I don't think the Los Angeles Dodgers have ever had a problem putting people in the seats there. I think we know this, but they just made a, successful franchise. I will call the Dodgers a very successful franchise. They just,
Yep.
they just like skyrocketed their value, their worth, their easily, like, you make that addition, you're the best baseball team now. I mean, the Dodgers arguably a top 5 team. I think yesterday they made themselves the top of the chart, and I think it's a no-brainer. Jesse, they're favorites to win the World Series now with one move. And I think that, Jesse, it's probably worth every penny. The Blue Jays missed out on him. Don't hit the panic button, though, folks. It is one player. There is a recipe out there where we can still win and play really good baseball without him. But of course, he would be a big addition to any ball club. Sadly, we announced here, we're here on Sunday, and he is not a Toronto Blue Jay. He is, in fact, a Los Angeles Dodgers moving across the city.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Shohei always was going to be a Dodger. The Dodger was targeting this free agency list. In fact, people have known for a long time that Shohei Ohtani was probably going to be a Dodger. Like, it makes a lot of sense that he ends up here. And you were right, Riley. Like, one player does not build your roster, right? And no matter how good Shohei Ohtani is, it's not like hockey or basketball where you can guarantee your best player has control of the puck or ball at all times. In baseball, it really is a team effort. But let me tell you, it is a hell of a lot easier if you can get the reigning AL MVP, the 2-time MVP, and join him with a lineup who has 2 other MVP caliber players on it. Look, I feel a little heartbroken. To me, I feel like a kid who's just got kicked in the nuts a little bit here. It does sting a little bit, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who really did get our hopes up thinking that Shohei Ohtani was here. I was ready, Riley, to buy that Ohtani Blue Jays jersey. I had the credit card out. I was ready to go. Ultimately, I guess it'll save me a couple $100 here, but I was really dead certain about it here. Anything else you want to say that before we get into the fiasco that happened on Friday night?
Jesse, we lived the timeline, and I haven't explored back to it. Let's relive the events basically leading up to this, because it was a hell of a day, man. And I know probably a lot of our listeners lived through it too. So, I mean, Jesse, you have all the times and the tweets and what went on, man, because it just felt at one point like it was just a crazy day. It was just a crazy day.
Well, let's flash back to Friday. And I guess let's go back to Thursday night. Thursday night, there was a tweet about a private plane that was set to being take off from John Wayne Airport that was heading to Toronto on early Thursday morning or early Friday morning. This tweet came out on Thursday night. Jim Bowden of The Athletic to help push this narrative to a larger audience. And Riley, I know you're not the biggest basketball fan, but the Kawhi Leonard, when he was here in Toronto with the Toronto Raptors and he was becoming a free agent, we were watching his flights too. And he had a flight allegedly that was coming back to Toronto and we were watching him. I'm going to take you back to like the early 2000s, Riley. Cliff Lee, when he was a free agent, people thought he was going to go sign with the Yankees because people were tracking a flight with him going to New York. Well, turns out that didn't matter. He signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. And it turns out this plane wasn't carrying Shohei Ohtani either. But Riley, it did get a ton of fanfare. In fact, there were t-shirts that were being made about this here. In fact, you can buy one right now if you'd like, and I'll put it up on screen here for those of you who are watching. You can buy the shirt that says the N16RH, and it's got the airports, the SNA from the Anaheim airport to the YYZ airport if you wanted to buy one. This was the most tracked plane in the world with over 4,000 people watching it, and we didn't really know at the time who was in it, what was going on, and what was going to happen. But Ren Riley, Friday morning happened, and at 8:39 a.m., we got started with a bang as John Paul Morosi tweets this. He said, quote, sources, Shohei Ohtani's decision is imminent and possibly as early as today. So this was on Friday morning. This got everything started here because we knew Ohtani was probably going to decide before Sunday. So this got everyone in a mood. We were like, okay, there's baseball news coming today, right? It's going to happen. What was if you remember, take you back to Friday morning, when you first saw this, Riley, what was your first thoughts?
At this point, I was not leaning towards a Blue Jay or Dodgers. I was thinking, okay, good. Let's wrap this up. I was still whatever I said, 4 out of 10 chances. So I'm still thinking 40, 60, right? Like I'm not hyped yet. At this time, I'm not really thinking anything crazy yet. I have my wits and my emotions are in check.
Okay, it starts about an hour later. And remember, we had heard reports about the Blue Jays using Yusei Kikuchi in the recruitment process to try to get Shohei Ohtani here and whatnot, right? Well, about an hour later, rumor comes out about this. Source, Yusei Kikuchi reserves an upscale sushi restaurant near Rogers Center for tonight. Reservations will be made for 50 plus people. Make of it what you will. This happened. This reservation was set to happen 2 hours after the plane was allegedly supposed to land in Toronto. So people then thought, oh my goodness, Yusei Kikuchi built a restaurant. Shohei Ohtani's coming to Toronto and signing a contract. This Clarence Frazier guy, Riley, I don't know if you know him. He's an opera singer. I don't really know much more than that, but yeah, apparently some opera singer got word of this, and Yusei Kikuchi's wife, Rumi, actually posted an Instagram live right around this time of day that proved Kikuchi and him were in Toronto. So there was some smoke here. But then there's more, Riley. Carlo Koliakovo, a former Toronto Maple Leafs player who now does TSN 1050, saw this and says, look, I hope your source isn't me who shared the news on his radio station that morning, because somebody texted into our show this morning saying that Yusei Kikuchi had a dinner reservation, and they kind of took it and ran with it. So this might not have been anything here, but this was obviously being taken forward. And hey, people thought it makes a lot of sense. If Shohei Ohtani is coming to Toronto, maybe they get the sushi restaurant going. And I don't know. So when you saw this, Riley, what were you thinking next?
A little bit more excited. I actually at this time did not see Carlo Koliakovo's reply. But I was aware of the sushi dinner for 50 plus people, and I thought, okay, like I'm starting, the little hamster in my head starting to spin the wheel, and the cogs are starting to move, and I'm thinking, okay, like what is happening? Like this is out of the ordinary. This is very out of the ordinary, and the day got weirder, Jesse, as you know. More stuff kind of said like, whoa, like you can be like. And there's conspiracy theories on this whole, Jesse. I'm just going to let you address the next part of the story because I think I know what you're getting into. Like, you'll break it down, and there's a couple other things because it just gets a little bit weirder from here and way too coincidental.
It gets a little wild. Before we get to the real big bombshells that happened, there was another thing here that happened here. 11:26 a.m. Pablo Torre said on his podcast there was a rumor about Shohei Ohtani's dog, and the rumor is he wouldn't share the name of his dog because it had something to do with the next team he was going to pick here, right? So there were people going through, and they thought, What if his dog's name is Ace? What if it's Dodger? What if it's whatever it could be? So people on the internet spent a large time here trying to figure out what in the world the name of Shohei Otani's dog was. I'm sure this is nothing, but people were starting to get crazy at this point. This is how you knew Blue Jays fans were getting riled up and getting a little wild. But then, Riley, the big thing happened. 1:53 a.m., a tweet came out, or an article came out from Dodgers Nation by JP Hoonstra that basically said, quote, Shohei Ohtani is set to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays over the Los Angeles Dodgers. First, people thought this was a fake report. People looked up JP Hoonstra. He is a BBWAA member. He is someone who votes for the Hall of Fame. This guy is a credible thing. This guy has broken news in the past. And if you look through his article, it basically said, yep, the Blue Jays and the team have a verbal agreement. He has chosen the Blue Jays. Things are happening here. So, Riley, that's when things started to get a little crazy, that people were really going like, okay, stuff is happening here. There might be an official agreement about Shohei Ohtani, and that could then explain what's going on in the plane. So at this point, Riley, when this article dropped, what were you thinking?
So at this point, Jesse, this to me is real. I'm waiting for. I'm like, okay, like stuff is still pending, like some paperwork. I'm like, at this point, when you see something like that, you're like, okay, like I'm seeing this and I'm believing that he's a Toronto Blue Jay, right? But I haven't seen officially like that he's a Blue Jay. So that's where things get a little weird. And I'm like, okay, with a contract that he's about to sign, because we didn't know years and the dollar value at this point. I'm like, maybe they're just working some stuff out, right? Like this is the most optimistic I was at any point during this whole debacle when this happened, because you know, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Obviously, that's a good takeaway from this. But at the same time, too, Jesse, like a lot of people bought into this, myself included.
People were sharing this all over socials, like,
and I mean, it was too broad, and no one was really shutting it down at this point. So I wasn't. I had no reason to believe it wasn't the truth. There was no, like, I'm sure if I dug deep enough into, people and remarks and comments and whatever, I'm sure I could have found some disputers, but there was just way too many people who were buying into this, like I said, myself included, and we just ran with it.
This is where it all starts to make sense, right? What if it is Shohei Ohtani on that plane? What if he is coming to sign a contract? What if he does have dinner reservations with Yusei Kikuchi at 6 p.m. at this restaurant? After we saw that report from JP Hoonstra, then things started to make a lot of sense. We then got this next, Riley, and this was from Alden Gonzalez, an Angels reporter, who said, look, Shohei Ohtani has not made a decision yet. This was at 2:09 p.m. But then he goes on to say, well, that ultimately won't say it won't be happening, but his understanding is that decision has yet not been made. So, sure, maybe it's because he hasn't officially signed the contract, right? But this did put a little bit of cold water. So things were getting mellow, right? And we didn't really know what was happening here, Riley. But then the thing that really got me into this, that I really thought this was going to be happening, was this next one. And I'm sitting at home here, and this is Sportsnet, right? The people who own Rogers, the people who are about to give Shohei Ohtani a thing, just made a programming change to their TV network from Bourne and Kyprios or whatever it was, the hockey people, to put on Blair and Barker in December at 5 p.m. A lot of people, I was thinking, is like, if you are going to break the news, if Shohei Ohtani is in Toronto and he is about to break the news that he is signing with the team, wouldn't you want your baseball people on the air, on TV, to talk about it? It was at this moment, Riley, where I was like, holy crap, stuff is happening. Shit is going down. This is really, really feels real, Riley. So, yeah. What are your thoughts here?
So at this point, Kyle and Isaac are into we can implement them.
Our group chat's going nuts.
Our group chat's going nuts. The Buds and Blue Jays group chat, because we're trying to figure this out. Because at this point, we've collected whatever information we've had throughout the day, and we're all four of us are going, okay, like, we're turning our TVs on here shortly, and it's going to be official. Like, to me, that's what's going on here. You hear that, like, that is too convenient. Like, yeah, it's got to be our guys breaking it. Like, that's a big event. Like, you want that televised. He's going to do the handshake, the put on the jersey thing. Like,
or he comes off the plane wearing a Blue Jays jersey, right?
Or whatever. Like, at this point, like, yeah, it's still a reality TV show based thing. And again, the Twitter's going nuts. There's tons of different things being said all around the platform. And we still believe that Shohei is on the plane, gonna land within the hour or 45 minutes, whatever it was at this point. They're getting a room to set up for the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
They're gonna have their panel, and then they're gonna bring us live to the coverage wherever they're at, and it's gonna be huge. It's crazy baseball, of the craziest baseball event of the past little while in MLB history, especially in December. And yeah, I was buying into the fact that I'm going to watch this unfold on television.
Mhm.
Again, had really not done our fact checks yet, and kind of just anticipating, waiting for that plane to land.
Right. At this point, there was no official announcement yet. Like Passan hadn't tweeted anything. Rosenthal hadn't. In fact, I think at this time, Ken Rosenthal was tweeting that, yeah, the Red Sox just made a trade for a minor outfielder. And we're like, okay, sure. Right. And all that stuff is going on. But then, Riley, the bomb. Oh, sorry. At this point, too, there was even a fake press conference. There was rumors going around that the Jays were going to have a press conference at 6 p.m., which ultimately wasn't true either. But then, Riley, we got verification. And this was the big one that really got stuff going, Riley. We got a report from JP Morosi that said, sources, Shohei Ohtani is en route to Toronto. He is on that plane. A representative of his agency would not comment when asked about his travel plans, but he said he was on his way to Toronto. So, Riley, at this point, we're going nuts. We're like, because at this point, he does not come to Toronto. He does not clear customs unless he is signing a contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. It was at this point, Riley, where we were dead certain that Shohei Ohtani was going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, he's not coming to Toronto for any other reason. He's gonna get maimed if he walks out of there, announces he's a Dodger, and goes. He won't make it that plane with all his limbs still intact, kind of thing. Like that would be crazy to do that. Like he's flying to Toronto to sign a contract to become a Toronto Blue Jay. That is, yeah, like that. We had no other reason to believe. Like if we have confirmation that he's on an airplane, and like, yeah, it's all but done, Jesse. Like it's all but signed on the dotted line, so to say. And yeah, at this point, we're still kind of waiting for the big platforms to start announcing stuff, because it's all scattered at this point. All the information we're getting and collecting on Twitter and whatever other news, it still feels very odd. Like we're buying into this, Jesse, but it doesn't feel
Yeah,
like
something's missing, right?
something's not right. Like,
Well,
pinch yourself. Are we dreaming? Like something was not right.
and I hate to bring back these painful memories because we're still we took the day to process this and to really see how we feel about this here. But then it all came crashing down, Riley, as Bob Nightingale, out of all people, says Shohei Ohtani is not in Toronto. Ohtani is not on that flight. Ohtani is currently at home in Southern California. 2 or 3 minutes later, Blue Jays reporter Ben Nicholson Smith confirmed this exact same thing, saying Shohei Ohtani still is at home in California. So we had, at this point, conflicting reports here. We had the JP Hoonstra one saying, yep, he's going to be a Blue Jay. JP Morosi, who said he is on that plane. And then we have other sources claiming he is not on that plane whatsoever. At this point, I think that's when you felt the breath, like the breath went out of our sails. Our balloon went up in smoke. Whatever analogy you want to use here, it kind of burst our bubble at this point here.
Yeah, Jesse, at that point, I knew Shohei wasn't going to be a Blue Jay. Pretty much. Like I thought, like this is it's gonna be bad karma for us because of how the events transpired. I just had a feeling he wasn't going to sign with Toronto. And I mean, I don't know if you were gonna touch on this, but there was also a thing where you couldn't buy Blue Jays tickets either.
Yep.
In any seats. So I mean, there was a lot of weird happenings that kind of led everyone to believe, like, hey, like something is happening on the Blue Jays business side of things, and like we are in preparation to sign Ohtani. Like the preparations were set. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yes, you go, Jesse.
Yeah, Ticketmaster went down. You couldn't make a bet on which team. Like the sports books took down the Ohtani stuff off of their board, which made you think something was coming. We had a photo of Drake, Toronto icon, posting up a story of him in an Ohtani jersey. Max Domi of the Maple Leafs is saying Ohtani stuff. We're getting fake airport videos of Shohei Ohtani showing up into airports. Our friend of the show, Kyle Gould, even said he knows somebody in the Blue Jays PR department who's running around. They've been very busy, and there's a lot of stuff going on there behind the scenes. everything is screaming that holy shit, something is happening here. And ultimately, it got shut down on those nights. I left. I went to work that night, confused and weird, and I didn't know how to feel. I even ate sushi and wore my Kikuchi jersey all day that day because I thought he was going to be the idol of the day. Didn't end up happening, and we get a tweet from John Morosi later that night around 11:30, and he hasn't tweeted since this time, by the way, that basically just said, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It won't happen again. I'll be better." Something along the lines of that. So, made for a roller coaster of a night, Riley.
I mean, just yeah, it will definitely get you. It spiked my my interest level and my buy into the whole thing, because if this doesn't happen, I'm less surprised. But basically, when this whole thing was kind of over and done with, um, the night of, I basically kind of spent the first couple hours of my day believing Shohei Ohtani was going to be a Blue Jay, and then by the time I went to bed, I had come to terms with, we are probably not going to sign Shohei Ohtani. He's probably going to end up being a Los Angeles Dodger. And that's over the course of, let's say, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it is. Like, your mood changes basically from what you're reading and what stage of the day it was. And it wasn't him on the plane at all. And basically, Shohei said, and for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah, and the guy on the plane, we should mention, by the way, was it was Peter. It was Robert Herjavec, who you might know. He was on Dragon's Den for a long time, and he does the American one, Shark Tank. Big businessman who was actually the person on that flight. So it was just a random rich guy, if you will. More on him a little later. He was the one coming up there. CBC sent reporters there. I think Shai Davidi was on his way through downtown traffic on his way to the airport to go see if it was indeed Shohei Ohtani. We get an article later that night from Shai Davidi. Sounds like he was annoyed and he was pissed off, but he basically told the fans, look, don't believe everything you say. I have my gripes on this, Riley, because Sportsnet themselves retweeted the JP Morosi tweet about a decision is imminent and that he's on the plane. JP Morosi has been on Sportsnet multiple times, and here is Shai Davidi, a writer, basically saying, yeah, don't trust these people. JP Morosi was on Blue Jays Central quite often throughout the course of the year and all this stuff. I was very annoyed about that Shai Davidi article. I wrote a nice tweet about it. You can check it out there on Twitter or X, if you will, and find it all there. But yeah, wild night for sure before he ended up picking the Dodgers.
Yep, and then just in the yesterday's fashion, he goes out and he signs with the Los
With the
Angeles
Dodgers.
Dodgers for
10
a
years.
groundbreaking amount of money. I wouldn't even call it groundbreaking, because no one's gonna no. There's a good possibility no one touches that ground again. Like, this is Shohei Ohtani's kind of whatever contract for he's locked in. This is going to set him up for life. He won't have to do anything after his MLB career. He's a smart guy. He knew what he was worth, and he got paid. He got paid, Jesse, in a big way.
$700 million is more than Mike Trout made. It's more than the whole Arizona Coyotes franchise. It is more than the payroll of 5 AL Central teams combined. It is more than any athlete has ever received, ever. Like, Lionel Messi had the next biggest contract at $565 million. Ohtani's contract beats that. It is absolutely insane. News came out. Shohei Ohtani himself broke it on Instagram that he was signing with the Dodgers, because, of course, it should be Shohei Ohtani himself announcing this. And look, that's where he wanted to be all along, right? I think he was just using the Jays, I guess, as a ploy to get the dollars that he wanted. I have a theory, and I can go into that a little more, Riley, but this is always how it seemed to be, right? That Ohtani would end up a Dodger.
I mean, you can go back and forth, Jesse. Like, if he had, this is, again, he did not sign with Toronto. He's not a Blue Jay. If he did sign with us, I mean, I feel like he would have paved out a pretty good career. That he's already had a great career. He's going to an already very established and successful franchise in the state of the current team that the Dodgers is. I think he's going to fit in fine with them. And I mean, they're going to win a lot of baseball games. There's some veterans. That's a team that knows Shohei wants to win. I know the Blue Jays are good and a young team in that, but there are winners over there in LA.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts is a winner. Freddie Freeman is a winner. the Blue Jays, we don't win.
I
And
haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Yeah,
I
I'm
get
sure
that.
Ohtani looks at that.
I get that. He's gonna make whatever team better. Like if he wants to win championships, then he set himself up to win multiple championships. If I know that there's an expiration date on the Dodgers core players, but it's not this year. It's
Yeah.
not they're not going to expire this year, or they won't expire this year, next year, whatever. Like he's going to add a lot of success and to an already very successful ball club. And at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong decision. He was an LA Angel his entire career since coming to North America. Like he doesn't have to change a whole lot about what he's doing. He's established in Los Angeles. He's basically just playing for the National League team in Los Angeles and whatever. Like he's still playing baseball. He's going to play baseball. He's going to play all 10 years of that contract. I can see it, whether it's all with the Dodgers or whatever we get. That's going to be a hard contract to relinquish if it does go south. Whole other discussion. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point, but Shohei was the best player, has been the best available free agent in all of baseball history. You could say in a lot of ways. He's not going to pitch next year, but I don't think it matters. He's going to do a lot with the bat. And then I do hope that the year off from pitching doesn't really set him back, because he is a fantastic athlete. And I still want to see him be good, because, I mean, he has a good chance of becoming a Hall of Famer and setting really high single season marks for the rest of his career. And I'm sure he will do just that.
Yeah, and if it's not Toronto, I mean, the Dodgers isn't a terrible place to go for the Blue Jays. We play them once a season. That's it, right? We can make this work. And look, I think Shohei Ohtani probably saw the Dodgers have a top 5 farm system. The Blue Jays are in the mid-20s in farm system. If he wants sustained success, I'd choose the team that has the better farm system coming up, the team that has the better talent right now, right? I'd do that. But can I share my conspiracy theory, Riley, to what I think really happened here with Ohtani and the whole fiasco that happened on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I am someone who will bite a conspiracy theory if Jesse, we're on a lot on the same page here, Jesse. Tell our viewers, tell our listeners what's on your mind, because I'm sure they've either heard it or they haven't, and it's not ridiculous. It really isn't.
So I think Shohei's first choice, as we mentioned, was always to go to the Dodgers. It makes sense. He doesn't have to move, right? His media can stay there. His interpreter doesn't have to move. It's better for the people in Japan to watch him on the West Coast. All that stuff is true. I do think he wanted to go to LA Dodgers. But the Jays did have some real interest in Shohei Ohtani, and I do think Shohei Ohtani also had real interest with the Blue Jays. I have a very unconfirmed report that said the Jays and Ohtani had a verbal agreement somewhere around the 10 to 12 years and about $565 million. That is very unconfirmed. I do not know if that's true or not, but that's just something I heard on the grapevine. So maybe the Blue Jays thought they were getting to a verbal agreement. I don't know. I think somebody out of Ohtani's camp, whether it was his agency or somebody in there, leaked to JP Hoonstra and to JP Morosi that he was on that plane and that he was going to Toronto. So of course, John Morosi is going to take that information, tweet it out, do all that. Hoonstra is going to make the article to put that out there. Think, yep, Ohtani's got this agreement in Toronto. The Dodgers found out about this, and although they had their skepticism, they weren't sure either. They panicked, and there was a report from a Tom Verducci article that said the Dodgers' several executives got into a meeting on Friday night that caused a lot of angst and doubt for the Dodgers people. And I think when they found out about this, they had to up their agreement, and that's where they settled on the $700 million and ultimately gave Shohei Ohtani the deal he can't refuse. And the part of the reason why I think this is a conspiracy, Riley, and I think this might have been planned by the CAA group and the agency, is that Robert Herjavec, the man who was on that plane from LA to Toronto, his agency is the CAA agency, which is the exact same agency that was working the Shohei Ohtani case here, the one that was trying to get him the most money. So you can make the argument here that they knew Robert, a Canadian, was in LA at the time. If they sent him on an unmarked plane and leak it out here, that all this stuff, it could get the Dodgers scared that they could get a real money and they could ultimately get more money for Ohtani and everything he needs here. And that's, I don't know if it's true. You can call me crazy for thinking that, but I think there is some real smoke here of that. This was all planned by Shohei Ohtani's agency to kind of leverage the Toronto Blue Jays to get more money out of the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is ultimately what happened.
Jesse, I mean, it's really not crazy. Yeah, you can call it a little bit of a stretch, but at the end of the day, business is played in a crooked, shrewd way. It really is. And
Yep.
I mean, I maybe don't believe it word for word, but if you really look at it at a big picture scale, and it makes sense. I mean, they're trying to they're trying to get him paid, and they got him paid. If whether it was a ploy or whatever, like this worked out the best for Shohei Otani's side, and I think it's going to work out equally as good for the Los Angeles Dodgers and their organization. Like you really can't, you can lose. We're not going to. This could lose for both sides, but right as it looks now, it's a lot of money, but it's a very smart looking 10-year plan.
Yeah, and there's always risk when you are paying someone a massive contract, especially someone who's going through 2 Tommy John surgeries, especially giving that much money to someone like you're guaranteed you're not going to be under the luxury tax for the whole time he is under contract. So, look, there was risk, and the Blue Jays did avoid a lot of risk here. But Riley, I kind of want to talk about what comes next now for the Toronto Blue Jays because we've spent a lot of our resources, a lot of our energy wooing Shohei Ohtani, and ultimately he didn't go here. We are now into early to mid December, Riley, and we still haven't added. We re-signed Chad Green. That's been the only thing we've really done so far. And look, the Blue Jays need to shift gears quick. We just lost out on Juan Soto, who we thought was our backup plan because the Padres moved on. They wanted to move now. They traded him to the Yankees before Ohtani made his decision. So, Riley, like, what comes next for the Blue Jays?
I mean, there's still like I like to talk about recipes, that being ball clubs and the 26 guys they choose to dress for the game. I mean, there's still decent players available. Yes, their names aren't Shohei Ohtani, but this is where we need to jump on this, Jesse. And we're going to talk about this Thursday,
Yeah.
like the exact players. But we were going to sink money into Shohei Ohtani. The Jays management and ownership, we showed our hands. Like, okay, so what the hell are we going to do with the money then? Like, are we just going to give up? Like, are we just going to fold? No, like we can
because you can't go after Shohei Ohtani with all this money and say like, okay, we're going to be cheap now. Yeah, absolutely not.
You can't. Like because we were in the sweepstakes, the management, the owners, like they've tipped their hand, and we know that there's money to be spent.
Yeah,
And
other teams and agents know this though too, right? Like they know now the Jays are going to be desperate.
Yeah, it is desperation, but I mean, hey, like if we can add very good players available. There are I mean, again, there's good hitters available. We want to get good hitters, maybe a complimentary starting pitcher to go with the rotation we already have. Like whatever. We can sign guys who are everyday players, a DH, a third baseman, another outfielder, like are possible. Like we need to do this. This is where we need to sink our money in. We need 3 ball players that are going to impact this team in a big way that I'm not going to say are equal to or whatever with Shohei Ohtani, because it's hard to value 3 players that don't pitch up against Shohei Ohtani who does pitch, because it's hard to compare and contrast. As far as the money, you can spend you will not you could try your absolute hardest in free agency to spend the money for Shohei on available free agents, but that won't happen. There's no worth like that. So we are saving money like in a way, but on not signing Ohtani. But we got to go after the biggest names that are available on the market, that we think are going to be positive pieces for this lineup. I'm talking position players, and I will I will, if there's a race to sign Rhys Hoskins, if there is a bidding war for Rhys Hoskins, I want the Jays to go for that. If there is one for Jorge Soler, same thing. Jock Peterson, like we have the money. Rogers was going to spend the money, and we're not going to give up just because we didn't get Soto, because we didn't get Ohtani. We need to still put our minds together and think of, okay, how are we still going to improve this team? We don't just give up, Jesse. We need to basically put the pedal to the metal this offseason and look on and say, okay, 2024 is going to be a success year, and we're not going to hang our heads. We're going to go after good available players. And yes, we can still make trades and this and that. Like there's plenty of options. And just because we didn't sign Shohei Ohtani, it is not the end of the world.
Look, I do not want Cody Bellinger. I do not want him for the money he's going to ask for. None of that. I can't watch Matt Chapman just look at fastballs down the middle, pop them up, and just have awful at bats. I get the defense is good. I get the defense is good for Bellinger. I can't watch that. And then if our top prize is like, unless we decide to zig where everyone's zagging and just put together the best pitchers ever and sign Yamamoto out of Japan, or maybe we sign Josh Hader, or I don't know, maybe we sign Blake Snell for goodness sake. Like, I don't know, man. I really think it's going to be tough, but we'll get more into what the Blue Jays do next roster wise. We'll get into that on Thursday as we go on. Riley, I just want to spit out some names here, and this is over the last 3 off seasons. These are all players that have either been, quote, the Blue Jays are favorites to land, or some reports actually said the Blue Jays had landed them and we had missed out on. And this is going back just 3 years, Riley. Michael Brantley, Freddie Freeman, Corey Seager, Jose Ramirez, and now this offseason, Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani. The Blue Jays did not get any of those names. And even if you go back a few years, Andrew Heaney was one of them, Garrett Cole was one of them, and even going back to Yu Darvish way back when he was posted, the Blue Jays were quote-unquote runners-up to do that, Riley. And it's just, we're fishing. We've got our rod in the water, but we just can't reel in the big one. And ultimately, look, we've said it several times before, the Blue Jays really have until 2026 with this current core to win a World Series. And I don't know about you, but my thoughts and my belief on that happening by the end of 2026 is significantly lower today than it was 2 days ago.
Jesse, those are some big names.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are already winners. A lot of those guys are top 3 in MVP voting at times in their career. Like, yeah, we've missed out. And we don't know what our team and what our results to a season would have been with them, because we haven't gone down that road. And we have basically, not shot ourselves in the foot about it. But I mean, I don't know what we're missing, because we've seemed to finish runner up in these, trying to get these players, and we miss out on these players. So I don't know what's going on. Whether Toronto's not a good market to play in for ball players. Like, I don't know if I'm seeing the whole picture correctly, but I mean, we're very close.
Yeah. And
To do.
like yeah.
Sorry, there's a lot of fine tuning and work to do, Jesse, but I mean, like, we are so close to taking the next step. Those players would have possibly got us to the next step, but honestly, we don't know what what our results would have been if we had them. But I mean, hey, there are still players available that are going to make us better, and I'm fully invested into this offseason, and the management side should be too, on making the team better and going after big and high impact players.
I guarantee you, if the Blue Jays signed at least one of those 6 players, Riley, we have at least won a playoff game between now and then. So that's kind of where we stand right now. Look, the only other thing I have to add, the Dodgers come to Toronto last week of April, the 26th through the 28th of April. Shohei Ohtani and the boys will be back here. We can watch them. That's all I got, man. It hurts. I feel like I feel like a kid who just got his candy stolen from him, and it was going to be the coolest candy. Or I feel like you're the nerdy kid who finally got a date with the beautiful blonde, right? The prom queen or whatever. And then she tells you the morning of prom, she's going with the quarterback instead. And it's, that's kind of where it feels and where my heart is right now.
Yeah, I totally get those analogies. Although I was the quarterback, Jesse. I mean, it sucks.
Of course you were, Riley.
It's well, like, yeah, not the quarterback, but whatever, insert other whatever position. We didn't have a football team, but I mean, Jesse, it does sting. And I told you this to begin with, and I'm no way your therapist. You do not need therapy over this. Everything's going to be okay.
Oh, of course, it's just sports.
He might be the best player, but there is no end all be all. Baseball is played with 9 guys on the field and 26 guys in the clubhouse. There's a lot of different ways we can go, and it's time to basically buck up if you're a Blue Jays fan and strap in. Have faith that we will return in 2024 and be a better ball club. I am sure that we will make the transactions necessary to do that. I hope. Or there's going to be uproar. There's going to be backlash because we didn't sign Otani. We didn't win that sweepstakes. We didn't end up coming away with Juan Soto. Like, I'm still counting on management to do their job in making this a winning ball club. And if they don't, they failed us. And then you can throw stuff and complain. But it's not, as of right now, it's totally not the end of the world. And we can go a lot
December
of
10th.
from here.
We still have time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see. Lots more to go. We're going to be back on Thursday to discuss more about what we do now, what our pivot plans are, where we should send our money, what we should do. But guys, leave a comment down below. Let us know, how do you feel about Shohei Ohtani officially becoming a Dodger? How were you during your reactions on Friday? Were you buying the hype, or did you see it all along? Did you see this ruse coming and all this stuff? Let us down below. Please leave us a follow. Like us on Twitter, Instagram. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Our subscribers counts are growing. We want to make sure that number keeps rising as we get closer into the season here and all that good stuff. Riley, that's it. Any closing thoughts on Shohei Ohtani?
Hopefully we have some good stuff to talk about Thursday. And
Amen.
We're looking to improve this ball club. Yeah, Jesse, it sucks. It's not the end of the world, but I mean, we have to have faith here, right? That we're going to come out, pretty hot next year and have a good ball club and a winning mindset. And just a reminder, we're in the American League East. Shohei's playing in the National League West. It is the farthest apart of any of the divisions. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth. You still play every team in the schedule now, but it's going to be okay, Jesse. As of right now, things are going to be okay.
Thank you, Riley. I think that's what me and Blue Jays fans around the world needed to hear. So you heard it here first. It's going to be okay, guys. We'll be all right. We'll see you guys on Thursday to talk again next. Until then, let's go Blue Jays.